What up? Going with the time lapses this time. It's week 4. I did not draw a lot last week or this week. New Year's happened. Got distracted. Excuses. What yada yada yada. But got the time lapses going. I think it's cool to see the process of the drawing rather than just seeing the finished product. You can see how my mind works. You can see the direction I go. It's just more interesting than looking at a blank sheet of paper. There's going to be a lot of time here, so I came up with the idea to pull from some of my writings. I mean, I write a lot and just kind of like keep journals and stuff. Started doing it a few years back. But it's a good spot to insert them here because, I don't really want to talk to myself. So maybe I'll bring some of my writings and see if they're relatable to anybody. If, just be a philosopher, something like that. But yeah, I got a passage picked out. I wrote it like 4 months ago from this release date. I titled it Self-Improvement Superiority. And I will start now. There's something that happens when you start to embark on self-improvement. When you get a couple days under your belt, or even a month or two, you start to slow down. You feel like you've figured it out, like your bad habits were the old you. You start to think that your old self and even other people are inferior for not living the way you're living. This is a trap. I've gone through this cycle enough times to know that you usually just end up right back in your old ways of living. You think you've figured life out. You take a breath. You reward yourself for figuring life out and living out your days physically and mentally healthy. The reward might be a night out with your friends where you indulge in drugs and other cheap forms of stimulation. You wake up the next days and begin your decline to the troughs you had just started to pull yourself out of. Maybe it won't happen exactly like this, but you're at risk for it happening. I guess this is where discipline and perseverance comes into play. I haven't exactly figured this part out yet. I've only gone weeks or at times months into living a better life. I've gone through this self-improvement cycle probably dozens of times, and I'm just now learning about this danger. I can even feel it happening now, the danger of feeling superior for engaging in the path of self-improvement. As I'm becoming aware of this danger, I'm starting to feel the phenomenon bubble up again. Like I've just figured out a piece of life, and I can relax now. I'm feeling proud of myself for being so impressively mindful about these thoughts. It feels as though I'm writing pure gold, the key to living a happy life. The more I juice up my ego, the more likely I am to walk away from this computer and feel like I deserve a break. After all, I've been working so hard. I deserve to splurge, right? I say most of this with an obvious sarcastic tone, but this, I think, is what has led me down so many cycles of depression and self-improvement. Everything in moderation, of course. That concludes the passage. Hopefully you felt like that was relatable. I don't know. Gained some insight from it. We're wrapping up these drawings. I think I only did like 2.5 or 3. This is the last one here. But yeah, this is my new idea. I feel like it's a little bit more entertaining than you just hearing raw thoughts and a still piece of paper. It's a little bit more entertaining because us humans, we need constant stimulation and things to look at. So I think this is going to do a better job. Let me know if I'm right. Let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, this is about it. I didn't get to a lot this week, but hey, I'm here. I'm making the video, so peace. The homie asked for details of the desk pictures, so I'm here to give a little desk tour. Ignore the glare. This is my 3rd time recording this video, and bright light is better than no light, I have concluded. So, this is my desk. And I have printed out pictures of kind of like people from my culture. As of recent, I think I did this like a little over 2 months ago. So there are people, things that have been influential in my life. And Yeah, it's a cool idea. Just a slab of glass. There's a slight indentation in the desk. You can put pictures under it, put the glass over it, and you're done. Starting in the top left. This is a drawing I made. This is the first drawing I ever sold, actually. Post Malone and Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan's podcast. I drew it while listening to the podcast, so it's kind of cool. My friend put it on Reddit against my will. It got a bunch of upvotes, so it got like attention, and some psycho dude wanted to buy it, so I gave it to him. Pretty cool. This is Rick Rubin. If you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He's cool. He's a music producer, and most people don't even know him. He's produced like probably some of the greatest albums of all time, and probably some of your favorite albums. Cool dude. He's got a really grounding and unique perspective on creativity as a whole. I would highly recommend his podcast with this guy, Lex Fridman. So it's Rick Rubin and Lex Fridman. They have a really, really good talk, and especially if you're a creative and you love the creative process, talking about it, tips and all that stuff, it's just a great podcast. Speaking of Lex Fridman, this is him choking out Andrew Huberman, and you should be familiar with both of their names, and if you're not, you should look them up. Maybe not Lex, but Andrew Huberman is God tier. He'll give you tips to make your life better, increase all of your beneficial behaviors, yada yada yada. He's just God. Look him up. It's on, like, he has a podcast that he does separate from like his research lab. It's great. Yeah. Take cold showers. Get sunlight in your eyes in the morning. This is your boy at a young age. Smiling, cheesing. Pretty cute. The Office sticker. I have a lot of stickers like that. Childish Gambino. I just like him as a creative person. I like his music too. Cool picture. This is your boy and his grandma getting jiggy with it. Cute picture. This is Tyler, the Creator. Love his music. I like him. Love him as a person. Like, he's great. Not just his music isn't just inspiring. He's like, his personality is pretty inspiring, because like he's so himself, and it's hard to argue with that, and it's really easy to look up to. You can't see his face, but I still like it. It's goofy. Suicide Boys, hip hop group, if you don't know. I've been really into them. They're not the most family friendly music, but once you start to enjoy their sound, it's really, really easy to get hooked. And they have a bajillion songs and albums, so it's kind of easy to get hooked and easy to stay. And you almost don't need any other music once you like them. So I wouldn't recommend them because they're on the darker side and more aggressive side. I like hip hop, but yeah, they were number one on my Apple, number one on my Spotify, so that says something. Luffy and Zoro from One Piece. I have not seen all of One Piece. It's 1,000 episodes. I'm like almost 300 in, and I think that's enough to know that I respect the two characters. I'll probably start working on it eventually. We'll get there. It's kind of a lifelong process. Matthew McConaughey is, I think it's Wooderson from Dazed and Confused. I haven't seen the movie, but I did read his book, Greenlights, and it was great. And it made me really respect the dude. Like that, I would recommend that book to anybody. It's just great, and probably would recommend the audio version over the actual book because he reads it and he has a voice of an angel, so it's pretty cool. This is Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. I also read his book, Shoe Dog. It was a good book. It was a really well-written book. He's a good writer. And it's really cool to see how really, 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 really successful people think. So, autobiographies by people like this, I feel like it's a really good tool because you can just like get into their mind and like figure out what it takes to do that. So yeah, that's cool. I would also recommend that book, but it's a little bit more like niche than something like Greenlights, which I would recommend to anybody. This is just my soccer team, 2005, so I was 5 years old. If you know me, you might want to look at some of the faces here, because there are some familiar ones. But if not, it's just a basketball team. This is Jocko Willink. This is good. I'm not huge on Jocko, but he did kind of change my perspective a lot, and he taught me about discipline, and he also taught me about how malleable the mind is, it seems. He's a very military guy, special forces. He's all about discipline and just doing what needs to be done, and even if you don't want to do it, like ignoring, don't wait for motivation, just get it done no matter the mood. That kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things, so that was cool. In the corner, hidden a little bit, is your boy Jordan Peterson. I feel like most guys probably know about this guy, but he's really smart. He gives good life advice. Wrote a couple books. His books are really good. I don't really have to expand on him, I feel like. And then, last but not least, in the big corner is probably my favorite drawing that I've done, at least before I started like doing this whole series. I called it The Man Who Sleeps on Rocks. It's a little poem. If you haven't seen it, there's a man who sleeps on rocks. He has no pillow. He has no socks. He has nowhere to go during the day, but during the night his mind will play. And then like this concept was just so cool to me. And I was like, how did I even think of that? So, probably my favorite drawing right now. Or at least it was when I made the desk. It's kind of there to... It's not really like a flex. It's more like a reminder of what it takes to make good art. And like I know the amount of practice and trial and error that something like this took to get to. And I need to keep that mindset when going forward into other art too. But yeah, this is pretty much my desk. That's the whole thing. This is my camera setup, which is pretty hilarious. It's a GoPro. That's the case for it. I'm holding the GoPro right now. And a little stand, but the GoPro is too heavy for the stand, so it tips over. So I had to put shoestring on the thing and then tack it down to the board so it wouldn't fall over, which is so makeshift. It's funny. My grandpa's art piece, my aptitude test, and that is a diagram of my life in weeks. So all the gray and all the color is stuff that's already been done, and that's assuming that I live to 80 years old. It's kind of a morbid motivational tactic. But yeah, we're at 10 minutes. This is way longer than I was expecting. If you stuck around, thanks. If not, you're not even listening anyway. So here's another time-lapse drawing for you.